Hello to the future. Gabriel Saint. Today we're going to be breaking down the aesthetic of Bob Dylan. Color story of Bob Dylan. Think denim, weathered, thinking worn in brown and black leather. These colors reflect his connection to Americana, folk culture, and the working class ethos. Occasional bursts of bright contrast appear in his album covers, and softness, a love, a connection, but constant moments of rebellion and inspiration. The textures of Bob Dylan, think rough, grainy textures, whether it's in his raspy voice, the lo-fi production of the albums, or like the rugged materials in his wardrobe, the way he dressed, from his blue jean to his leather boots to the wooden acoustic guitar and the metal harmonica. All these textures connected together, they give his work an authenticity, and that authenticity feels deeply connected to real life. Okay, so the space and the flow of Dylan's aesthetic, it uses a lot of negative space. There's simplicity in his work, in his music, in his aesthetic, especially in his early album designs where minimalism draws focus to Bob himself, his words, his music, his meaning, his self-expression. His music, it kind of jumps between rambling, free-form poetry and deep thought, and then it meets somewhere with tight, repetitive structures. It feels very, very form-fitting, structural, verse-chorus type music, and it kind of mirrors Dylan's ability to kind of balance this chaos, this control, this maximum meaning and minimal words. The contrast points in an aesthetic like Dylan's. Dylan thrives on these contrasts. Poetic, complex lyrics paired with simple melodies and a grounded folk image juxtaposed with avant-garde experimentation. Thinking of contrast points, he was kind of challenging the idea of what folk could be. He's an artist that wasn't afraid of reinvention, finding his process over and over. Kind of brings us into the mood, the vibes. Dylan's work, it evokes introspection, rebellion, timelessness, and the raw counterculture of the 60s. It still carries kind of a timeless wisdom, a simplicity that resonates today. His whole energy, his vibes align with autumn, with fall, with kind of like the end of summer, the beginning of something cold. He reflects on maturity, change, and the passage of time. His cultural roots. Dylan's aesthetic is deeply tied to American folk tradition, to Americana, to America, blues, protest culture. His influence range from Woody Guthrie to beat poets like Allen Ginsberg. His work reflects the heart of rural, urban America, Midwestern sensibilities fused with like a Greenwich Village, bohemian counterculture. Those contradictions that speak to the reach of an artist like Bob Dylan had. And then style in general. Dylan's style, it kind of evolves with his music. It's like, which era of Dylan? There was a time in the early 2000s when Dylan was DJing. Bob Dylan always retains this effortless authenticity. Early years, he was casual, classic, working class vibes. Folk look, plaid, flannel shirts, leather boots, Levi's, worn in, acoustic guitars. Mid-60s, rock star chic, polka dots, sunglasses, skinny suits, think YSL. Later years, rustic, introspective, cowboy hats and a Western Americana sensibility. Very defined style. Often evolving, changing, renewing, reinventing. Bob Dylan's aesthetic is contradictions. Earthy, yet transcendent, simple and profound. profound, nostalgic, but modern, revolutionary. It's rooted in Americana and folk, but constantly pushes boundaries, creating a timeless yet ever-evolving identity. Bob Dylan. The aesthetic of Bob Dylan.